Let's call this meeting to order, April 5th. I'm sorry. Are we running already? Okay. April 5th, 2022, 6:30 PM. Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Can you hear us, Dave?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Okay. Just wanna
He's muted.
All right. Just want to make sure you can hear us. Roll call, please.
Mayor Mahoney,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Davot,
Here,
Trustee Don Cohn. Here. Trustee Jamie Jeffrey,
Here.
Trustee Jeremy Kovenchik,
here,
Trustee Mae Westcott,
Here.
and Trustee Jacqueline White.
Here.
All right. We have quorum. Approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the agenda.
second,
Roll call, please.
Mayor Mahoney,
Yes.
Trustee Jacqueline White,
Yes.
Trustee Kovenchik,
yes,
Trustee Westcott,
Yes.
Trustee Jeffrey,
Yes.
Trustee Cohen,
Yes.
and Mayor Pro Tem Ott.
yes,
All right. Motion carries. All right. Next item is a proclamation. If I could, please have you step up, state your name and address for the record, and
Push it. Oh, there, now I can, it instantly got louder. So good evening, Mayor, trustees. My name is Lindsay Learman. I'm the CEO of CASA and honored to be here with you this evening to proclaim April Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month. CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates. We are a court-appointed volunteer advocacy program that works with children who have experienced abuse and neglect. I know we see some friendly faces here, some supporters, and I thank you all so much for that. We do just important work in the community, but we really rely on our volunteers who walk side by side with the kids that they serve. They have to go through training, background checks, and they are assigned, sworn into court by a judge and assigned to a case to really understand the child's needs, to get to know and build a relationship with that child, and to report that information that they find back to the judge to make a decision on the permanency of that child. So we work with Adams and Brookfield counties, over 600 children we served last year. We are the largest serving CASA program in the state of Colorado. It is a nationwide organization, but there is a big gap. There's about 1,600 children in the system. So we are working hard to continue our growth efforts that we have seen over the past couple of years and really reach every child in need. Here with me this evening is our board chair, Donna Alenji, and I'm just going to invite her to share a few words as well.
Thank you, Lindsay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing us to make this presentation, and thank you for your support. And I would say I haven't been out here for a while, and boy, there's a lot of growth going on. This is a big area. So I like what Lindsay had to say about the gap, and knowing that there are so many kids, and I understand that Trustee Jeffrey, you are a person who understands this as well. That gap means that so many kids are not going to be served if they don't have additional help from people like you and counties and support us. So thank you again for allowing us to be here tonight. And again, thank you for your support.
thank you very much. Thank you guys for coming out. And we now have a proclamation. I'd like to read this here for you. All right. Whereas every child deserves to grow up in a safe, nurturing environment, free from harm and fear, all children do not receive appropriate care. In fact, too many children become victims at the hands of abusive perpetrators. And it is up to us as a community to tirelessly work to end it through awareness and action. Every responsible person will agree that every one abused child is too many. And whereas the month of April has been designated nationally as Child Abuse Prevention Month, at this time, we encourage all town of Lochbuie citizens to join in renewing our commitment to preventing child abuse and learning what we can do to promote the safety and well-being of children. And whereas the town of Lochbuie has dedicated individuals and organizations who work daily to counter the problem of child abuse and to help parents obtain the assistance they need. And whereas our community is stronger when all citizens become aware of child abuse prevention and become involved in supporting parents to raise their children in safe and nurturing environment. And whereas effective child abuse prevention programs such as CASA of Adams and Broomfield counties succeed because of partnerships among families, social service agencies, schools, religious and civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. And whereas all citizens, community agencies, faith organizations, and businesses will work to increase their efforts to support families. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Michael Mahoney, Mayor of the town of Lochbuie, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, do hereby proclaim April 22nd, or April 2022 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. Thank you guys very much for doing this. I think I speak for all of us when I say there's no one here that is not and does not do something, or at least wish they could do more. We appreciate it. And actually, I don't know if the board would like to, but I would like you guys to take a photo with us, and we could do it all together. So I don't know how you guys, if the board would feel comfortable, we'll kind of crowd in here and get a photo up here, if you would. Yeah, we'll come, no, we're gonna come around in there and you guys can take a picture there.
Thank you. And I feel like you should be in the center too. Like in the back. No, I think so.
I actually fit in the back. I'll just stand up high. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much for allowing us to be here.
Actually. Just move this desk. All right. Okay, on to the next bit of business. Did we have any public comments come in? No? Okay, we have nothing. All right, next item is the consent agenda. For the benefit of the citizens, I'll read these off. The items that are on the consent agenda, we have the payment approval report in the amount of $146,277.90. The March 15th, 2022 minutes, the approval to purchase wastewater treatment plant RO membrane replacement, approval to purchase wastewater treatment plant dewatering fan press, 2-channel expansion, and partial assignment and assumption agreement between Forrester Real Estate Group and Melody Homes Incorporated. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Ott,
Yes,
Trustee Cohen,
Yes.
Mayor Mahoney,
Yes.
Trustee Jeffrey,
Yes.
Trustee Kovenchik,
Yes.
Trustee Westcott,
Yes.
and Trustee White.
Yes.
And motion carries. All right, next item is to adjourn as the regular meeting. We'll open the public hearing regarding the application for liquor license for Family Dollar Stores of Colorado, LLC, store number 28274 at 640. Will the clerk please state the purpose of the hearing? Ms.
A public hearing for the purpose of receiving comment on the application by Family Dollar Stores of Colorado LLC, store number 28274, located at 160 Freestone Street, Lochbuie, Colorado.
Okay. Is the notice published?
Mayor, may I just take a
Please
second,
go
if you
ahead.
don't mind, to just introduce this a little bit? So you're now all wearing different hats. You're wearing the hat of the local liquor licensing authority for the town of Lochbuie. And in wearing that hat, this is one of those times where you're acting in what we call a quasi judicial capacity. You're judging an application as presented to you to decide whether or not to issue a liquor license as requested for this retail fermented malt beverage license. In Colorado, liquor licensing is a dual licensing system. Both the state needs to issue the license and the local liquor licensing authority needs to issue the license. If you decide not to issue the license, it's not good enough. And if you decide to issue it, but the state decides that they're not going to issue it, that's not good enough. And so both the state and the local liquor licensing authority need to consider an application and determine whether to issue a license. In so doing, what the criteria are that are going to be presented to you at the hearing that you want to really focus on is whether or not there's a need and desire of the adult inhabitants of the neighborhood. And in the town of Lochbuie, we determine the neighborhood equals the entire boundaries of the town for this liquor license to issue. So whether normally that is presented to you in the form of petitions that are circulated within the designated neighborhood, again, that case being here, the entire town boundaries. And they're either showing there is support, in other words, there's a need and desire by the adult inhabitants for a license to issue, or there's not. I believe the petitions that are presented to you tonight show well over 90%, I think it's well over 95% of support, which indicates that there is a need and desire of the adult inhabitants of the neighborhood. The other thing that you should look at as the local liquor licensing authority is the site plan of the premises to be licensed to determine whether or not you think that the premises are suitable for the issuance of a liquor license. And things that you normally would consider for that would be, is the alcohol sufficiently secure so that underage drinkers can't grab a bottle of beer and run out the door? Does there a line of sight from the point of sale so that the clerks can see who's approaching the coolers? And when and if we ever get a hotel and restaurant license, one of the things you're often concerned about is if there's a patio or something, like, can liquor be passed over the patio? So those kind of things come into determination as to whether or not you think the premises are suitable for a license to issue. And then the final thing is the moral character of the applicant. In this case, it's a corporate applicant, so that makes it a little more difficult. It's also a corporate applicant with multiple locations across the country. Frankly, they're doing this all over the country. They have what's called a master file on file with the Department of Revenue. And in that master file, all the persons who are required to be fingerprinted and to provide criminal history backgrounds have provided those criminal history backgrounds. The state has indicated that they don't have a concern with the moral character in that master file. So those are the issues that you would be looking at tonight. Normally an applicant will be present. I believe we do have one. I think it might be conference room identified on the Zoom. We'll find out here in a second. To present to you, why they're going for the license and how they plan to set it up, that kind of thing. And then you're free to ask questions, but your inquiry should be limited to, just like any quasi-judicial matter, if you remember our training about that, you're supposed to consider those criteria that are relevant. And so things like zoning issues, nuisance issues on the property, while those are things that the town should be made aware of and be looking at and enforcing, this is not the time when we would do that. We're limited to looking at those criteria that are relevant for determining whether a liquor license should issue. So with that, I'm not sure where we are on the.
Notice of public.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the applicant is here and can turn their camera
I'm
on,
in
if
the
that's
conference.
conference room.
Yes, that's me. I'm sorry. James Valley here for Family Dollar. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. But I can proceed whenever it's your pleasure.
You're cutting out, sir. We all have our microphones off, right? Are you able to, I think it would be helpful if we can see you, if you've got a camera available, and maybe we can understand you a little bit better, but we're having a lot of trouble hearing what you're saying.
I'm sorry, let me try to work this. I'm in Atlanta, and the people that help me with the technical matters are often are not here. So I apologize. Hopefully, I'm trying to get the camera on now, but I don't know whether or not I can get it to work. Can you hear me at all?
Yes, we can hear you. There's a heavy echo, but we can hear you.
Very heavy echo, and I think what we're looking for from you is just a basic introduction. We need some evidence in the record that the property was posted properly as required under Colorado law, and that we do have already in the record an affidavit of publication. And so we're good on that, but what we're missing is proof of posting of the property, along with issues on needs and desires and suitability of the premises.
Thank you. And I'm sorry for the echo, and I apologize for not being able to get the camera to work. The property has been posted. I think it's in your agenda item summary properly as required by the law. We also conducted the required survey, and 97% of the adult applicants supported the petition or supported the application. I want to be clear, we're not trying to sell liquor. This is beer and wine. Very briefly, just to kind of let you know and address some of the things that you talked about. We do have a master file with the state of Colorado. We have other locations in Colorado. We've never had any violations at any of those locations. And very briefly, I'll run through the some of the other information that we have. In addition to any other training requirements, we put our employees through a very vigorous training regimen. We use handheld scanners to verify birth dates to make sure there's no underage sales. We train our employees on how to recognize proper identification. We train our employees on how to refuse to sell to anybody who appears to be intoxicated. We also have training in their personal liability if they allow any kind of a violation. And we also have extensive training on how to treat law enforcement as a partner. In addition, we also train on specific local ordinances that might also be in place, such as the town, your town's requirement that we notify police officers if there's ever a disturbance. It's in your local code, and the duty to display appropriate signage. With regard to the location and the layout of the store, we have our beer and wine secured. It is also under constant video surveillance, so there is no way to get in and obtain any alcohol without all of the store knowing it and it being on camera. And we have a zero tolerance policy to comply with those rules, and that's why I'm proud to say that throughout the United States, in all of our stores, our violation percentage is less than 0.04%, and we work every day to make that even lower. We really appreciate the chance to present to you and to be in your town. We like it, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. But all of the information I believe you have in front of you, I submitted an additional letter that laid out this information that I just went through. And so I would ask for your favorable consideration, and I'm ready for any questions that you may have.
Okay. So we did post in the newspaper, correct? Okay. So, and they posted in front, we have verification that they had the posting out in front of the building and all of that stuff. Okay. What's that?
It was referenced in the packet, but I did not see it.
It was posted on the, in the Brighton Blade and then also on the premises. And that's in your agenda summary.
Sorry, I'm going to repeat my question with the microphone on, which is that there was a reference to a picture of the posting on the store of the hearing, but I did not see that in the packet.
Okay, I was talking about the agenda item summary. It says that it was posted on the premises on February 15, 2022.
Sir, can you provide for us, we can still move this forward this evening, but I think that what we'd like to have as part of the packet is a picture of the posting. I see your affidavit of posting, but a picture of the posting would be needed for the record if you can provide that after.
I would be happy to send that first thing in the morning.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear your response.
I would be happy to send that first thing in the morning.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
James, can you tell me on how many of your other locations in Colorado are currently serving liquor?
We have, well, it's beer and wine, but 7.
Okay, I actually live in the neighborhood. I live in Silver Peaks. And I would like to give kudos to Jackie there, who I know is your store manager, and you guys are on top of ID checking. I will say that for cigarette sales or anything, I've never been in that store once without seeing it. So I was really happy to hear you mention the extra training that you do for the employees. It definitely appears to be paying off.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, go ahead.
I actually had a question from a citizen tonight. She wondered if the petition, the man who conducted the petition was fluent in Spanish. She's a Spanish speaker, and she wanted to know if those questions or the survey was presented in Spanish to Spanish speakers.
I believe so. His name, it's in the packet, but his name is Joe Acuna.
I'm online. Can anyone hear me? This is Eva Garrettson. I'm one of the owners of Liquor Licensing Professionals. When we conducted the needs and desires survey regarding the new license, and I can verify that Mr. Acuna does speak Spanish, which was one of the reasons, because we had already done a survey in your area, and we knew that we would run into that, and he does speak fluent Spanish.
Okay. Anyone have anything else? Go ahead.
I just have a question about, is there a certain number of surveys that we're required to get back? Like is there a percentage of the total ones sent out, or how does that generally work?
No, there's not even a legal requirement that they survey or petition the neighborhood. What the obligation is that they prove a need and desire in the neighborhood. And so that's just the typical way that people do it. But frankly, an alternative would be for them to get people who live in the designated neighborhood to come here and testify to you that they believe there's a need and desire. And if you had more people telling you there was a need and desire, then people might show up here tonight and tell you that they think you have too many already in town, then you would have an evidentiary issue. But in this case, the only evidence you have is that 95% or whatever the percentage came out to, I can't remember, of the people support the issuance of the license.
And very briefly, there were over 300. I think it's 300.
Sir, I'm sorry, we can't hear you again. Just if you could just get closer to the microphone, maybe.
Okay, I'm sorry. There were over 300 surveys sent and only 2 no's.
And if council would like, I can kind of give you a breakdown of what we see in the state. We conducted over 500 surveys last year in the state of Colorado, and including others for Family Dollar. This was typical results of what we've seen prior in Loch Buoy, and actually typical results of what we see for a fermented malt beverage. The 97%, however, is on the higher end. those folks that actually shop there and frequent the establishment, those you have much more folks in support of there because they frequently shop at that place. I agree with with the council member that spoke before. Miss Jackie is actually on top of everything. She is really good, and most folks know her, know who she is. They frequent the establishment. They had no problem with the license being brought in there because she takes care of the place as they see fit, and saw it as a convenient to that particular store. Other Family Dollar locations, the approval rate that they were getting is usually in the high 70 to lower 80s. This is at 97%. So this is higher than what we've seen as far as average goes for fermented malt beverage. And that also includes the gas stations that we do, Circle K, Maverick. We have Quick Trip moving into the state. So the 97% is higher than that. So this actually speaks really high in volumes to the needs and desires and shows that the existing outlets do not meet that. So I would say, in my professional opinion, that this is a need and desire. This shows the need and desire.
Okay. Trustee Westcott.
I'm looking at the survey statistics page, and I'm just curious. It says that there was 320 contacts attempted, but 210 no responses. The yes signatures were 70 and the no's were only 2, as has been mentioned. I'm just curious, is 70 also sort of a typical number of people?
The residential, yes, ma'am. Usually what we have is we usually get a higher volume of businesses that support, but there's not a whole lot of businesses in this area. So usually what we see in the state and what we've gotten in every jurisdiction, in fact, some jurisdictions still don't allow us to do full surveys. For instance, Lafayette only allows us to do letters inside of their area. Denver doesn't even require a full survey at this time. They take 50 signatures. So some of our other jurisdictions, just because of the I guess, back end of COVID, we knock on a door. You know, sometimes we wear masks in areas if we feel like the COVID rate has gone up or if the flu rate has gone up. Pueblo actually had an issue where it was strep had gone up. So we want to make sure that if people are wearing masks, that they still feel comfortable. So we knock on a door, but we don't force people to come inside, which is why we do samples in and around that area. The 70 is average about what we've seen through the state as far as residential feedback right now. That started to climb up again at the back end of 2020. And then right as soon as 2021 came, it just shot right back down. So it's different in every jurisdiction, but for these numbers for Loch Buoy, it's typical of what we saw from the last time, because when we handled the other location that we did there. So, but yeah, 70 is about average of what we see.
Okay, any other questions?
And then I just have another question about the survey dates and times. And again,
Sure.
What was the reasoning for choosing those particular? Looks like they surveyed, they went out canvassing on a Sunday from 11:30 to 5:30, then on a Monday from 11 to 6:30, and then on a Tuesday for just an hour from 11 to 12. So what was the rationale on choosing those particular days?
So the ones, if you look on the business one, those were the ones that did not have a manager, or there was somebody who was underage managing those other locations. So we do try and make a second attempt to those businesses. Same thing with the business and residential on Monday. Once again, if we can't find anybody at home, this was still like right at the end of daylight savings. So we took advantage of the 6:30 just to make sure we try and caught some folks at home. Sometimes with schooling, it was people after school. If people are still allowing their kids to be homeschooled, we found folks that way as well. It just depends on the area and the location. Sometimes we find people, sometimes we don't. We just go out and do our very best. We did make an attempt with 3 full days out there, or 3 days out there, to grab any sort of feedback. And if we find an area area where there's just nobody there or nobody wants to participate, we move to another area. Because that's what we're trying to do, is grab some sort of feedback to present to the authority that shows a need and desire.
Anything else? Anyone else? Go ahead.
Can I just have a better understanding of where it will be set up in the store? You said it's going to be secured at all times.
Yes, hopefully, and again, I'm sorry for the hearing. Yes, it's located toward the rear of the store. There's a layout in the package. And again, it's under video surveillance at all times, and there is no patio or area for, if you are going to obtain it, you have to come in and out of the front door past the managers and the employees. And if they're checking with another customer, it's under video surveillance at all times.
I don't see the site plan in the packet either. Can you tell me what page?
I'm sorry, the site plan is in the original application. And it's about page 14, I think. And I'm trying to read it. But I think if you look on that, when you come in the front door, it's to the far left.
Page 46 is what she said.
So I'm looking at it now. I just want to clarify. You said, what I heard you say was that the coolers or whatever are going to be located at the rear of the store, which would
Yeah, I
put them
believe
out of
it.
line of sight from the cash register desk. So maybe I misunderstood that. And I'm sorry, I'm having a really hard time. Look, the site plan is very small. And
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I've got the same issue, and again, I apologize, but it is in a secure location. I believe as you see when you come in the front door, I think they're located there to the left. When I said the rear, I was mistaken. There's only one door in and out for customers, so, and we don't sell singles or anything like that. And again, there's no patio or any other method for someone to obtain it and then leave. And that's just, I don't know if we've ever had an issue with that in any, I'm not aware of any store where we've had an issue with people being able to steal it and leave the store without being caught.
Okay. Anyone have anything else? Right. Okay. So as far as the record shows, we have public notification with the exception we don't have, we want visual confirmation of the posting from the store, correct?
You can still move ahead and condition a motion to approve on the condition that they provide that tomorrow proof of posting. If they're not able to provide us with a picture that the property was properly posted, then your motion wouldn't go anywhere because it's conditioned on that.
Did you guys have something else or?
I just showed it.
Oh, okay. All right. Would the applicant have it, does the applicant have anything else they'd like to enter?
I just appreciate the time and apologize for the technical difficulties.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any board members have anything else? Any members of the audience have any testimony they'd like to give? All right. And staff have anything else? All right. With that, I will now close the public hearing at 7:05 and reconvene as a Board of Trustees.
You're still going to stay as the liquor licensing authority and take a motion on whether or not to grant the license.
All right. Do I have a motion?
If we wanted to make it conditional on, as you said, how would we word that?
I'll word a motion for you and you can agree with that if that works for you. And that would be a motion to approve a new retail fermented malt beverage off-premises liquor license for Family Dollar Stores of Colorado LLC located at 160 Freestone Street, Lockwood, Colorado 80603, contingent on the applicant providing proof in the form of a picture within the next 24 hours that the property was properly posted for this public hearing.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Kovanchik,
Yes.
trustee Cohen,
Yes.
Mayor Mahoney,
Yes.
trustee Westcott,
Yes.
trustee White,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ott,
Aye.
trustee Jeffrey,
Yes.
And motion carries. All right, next item is, as we reconvene as the Board of Trustees at 7:06, Resolution 2022-07. Who would like to take that ball and run with it? Mr. McBroom?
Public Works Director Larman is here to make a brief presentation and answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and trustees. Happy to be here tonight and that didn't get blown off into Kansas today. Happy to present a two-part request for you tonight for a few lease fleet purchases. The first would be for a lease purchase of a Ford F600 dump truck, and the second would be for the purchase of an F-150. Be seeking approval to form a lease purchase with Clayton Holdings for the F600. This unit will be fully equipped with a dump box, snowplow sander, and warning lights. The lease will be established via an escrow account to secure interest rates and the vehicle pricing. As you all are aware, with the current supply chain issues, we are only able to secure pricing for the truck for 30 days, which tying that all in the lease agreements has been kind of a task, but we are able to overcome that. The escrow account will be created with a $250 fee. That fee will be due at the time of closing. And payments on this unit will not begin until June of 2023, which is when we anticipate delivery. Again, Ford right now can't even put in the order to the factory until September on this unit. The overall purchase price of the F600 is not to exceed $146,553, which results in an annual payment of $24,024.11 over a 7-year lease period. Does anyone have any questions on the F600?
What's the interest rate for that? Do you remember? I didn't see
I
it.
believe the interest rate was right around 3.54%.
Thank you.
Also seeking approval to purchase a Ford F-150. This vehicle will be fully equipped with warning lights, toolbox, and other equipment as specified by CDOT. This is actually a canceled order from CDOT. So these trucks are actually inbound currently, which gives us the opportunity to put it in fleet. We're anticipating taking delivery in June of this year. So that's actually a welcome surprise. We're requesting using the funds in account 10-441-4476, which would The purchase price of this truck is $353 more than the budgeted amount, but by purchasing this unit outright as opposed to leasing it, we'll save approximately $4,600 by going this route. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
You answered my questions. Anyone have anything? No? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your
And
time.
we'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution number 2022-7, approving the form of the municipal lease purchase agreement with Clayton Holdings LLC for the acquisition of a new fully equipped Ford F-600 dump truck in an amount not to exceed $146,553.
Second.
A motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Westcott,
Yes.
trustee Kovenchik,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ott,
Didn't hear you, Dave.
Yes,
all right. Mayor Mahoney,
Yes.
trustee White,
Yes.
trustee Jeffrey,
Yes.
and trustee Cohen.
Yes.
And motion carries. All right, next item is 2022-08, which we've already spoken of, so.
I move to approve resolution number 2022-8, approving the purchasing of a Ford F-150 from Ken Garf Ford Greeley with funds appropriated in the 2022 budget in an amount not to exceed $45,399.
second,
Roll call, please.
Trustee White,
Yes.
trustee Westcott,
Yes.
Mayor Mahoney,
Yes.
trustee Jeffrey,
Yes.
trustee Cohen,
Yes.
trustee Kovenchik,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ott.
yes,
All right, motion carries. All right, the next item is the liquor license renewal process.
Thank you,
Floor is
Mayor.
yours.
Do you want me to take this, Heather? Yeah, just briefly, we're hoping to bring back to the board at its next meeting a form of an ordinance that would make certain tasks related to the liquor licensing obligations of the local liquor licensing authority, that is you, make them administrative in nature. So for instance, sometimes if there's a change of a manager at a liquor licensed establishment, they need to report it. And rather than having to take that to the board for approval, we're hoping to make that something that staff, particularly the town clerk who acts as our liquor licensing administrator, can approve. Issues of renewal of licenses, so that if we have a license that you've issued and they have to come back and get it annually renewed, as long as everything is good, that's something that can then be issued by the clerk, knowing that if she has concerns, because there may have been some violation during the past year or something like that, then we would bring it forward to the board. And this approach of putting a lot of these tasks as administrative tasks is an extremely common approach, and one, frankly, that we haven't taken steps to do before because we just didn't have that many liquor licenses in town, but we're starting to get a few more. And so this would just help streamline and make the process more efficient. Really, both for the town and for the applicants. They're happier not to have to come and have public hearings on these matters. So that's the ordinance we'd like to bring forward next meeting to you if you're agreeable. And I'm
Anyone
seeing a
have-
lot of nods of the head in the positive, so I'm going to take that as direction. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's. Okay,
Have a couple of
Go ahead.
questions. There was also notice, or one of the things it says in the summary that is also going to do is codify the definition of the neighborhood as the entire town.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that. We wanted to also in that ordinance, we've traditionally, because it's a small town. So in some bigger cities, what they'll do is they'll take GIS and they'll say, here's where the applicant wants to put a liquor license, and they'll draw a GIS circle, half a mile around it, and they'll designate that as the neighborhood for which they determine whether there's a need and desire. Historically, here in the town, which there's not a whole lot of history, but what history we have, we've used the entire town boundaries because we're just not geographically that big of a community. And so we wanted to just make it clear that that was always going to be the default neighborhood for purposes of determining the neighborhood, for, again, for purposes of determining needs and desires of the neighborhood. So,
And we don't foresee that ever changing or not changing for a long time. That will.
it may change. It may make sense in the future if we end up on the other side of I-76 to have a geographic area that's, you know, east of I-76 versus west of I-76. And we might come back in the future to change it because that makes some sense. But right now, you know, we're going to suggest you or codify it with what's on the ground, if you will. So.
My one other question is this, since we're looking at this modification, I think my first question is whether the publication of the notice, is that what's the word I want? Basically, does the state set that requirement in terms of what meets a publication, or do we have any authority over that?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So the state does set it as a newspaper of general circulation within the town. And frankly, we use the Brighton Blade for everything. We publish our notices of ordinances that you've adopted in the Brighton Blade, because I don't know that there's another newspaper of general circulation other than maybe the Denver Post, and that's really expensive. So
I would just comment in response to that, that I've never seen a copy of the Brighton Blade living here for 6 years. I have gone online a couple of times to look at it, and I can't speak for everyone else other than myself, but I do follow the news. So I'm just not sure that is an appropriate place to be placing public notices, and maybe that's off topic. You can tell me if I need to stop. I know, for instance, the Lost Creek Guide, which is based out of Keensburg, I've seen that. There's another newspaper that comes out that gets mailed to my house from Keensburg that I've seen as well. If anybody else wants to help me out with the name of that, that would be.
Lost Creek Guide.
Is it the Lost Creek Guide?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I think maybe that just as we're considering this, and I don't know if it needs to be changed anywhere other than in just policy, but
I think, you know, you raise a really good point, and we can certainly look at that. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Mr. Meeker.
Just a quick comment about the Lost Creek Guide. I've inquired about the ability to publish our legal notices. That newspaper doesn't meet the requirements to be our legal publication newspaper. It could in the future, but it doesn't currently.
A lot of home rule jurisdictions now are recognizing that nobody actually reads legal notices, and they're adopting rules that say, you know, legal publication is by putting it up on the website, and people go look at the website, but we're not home rule and we don't have as much leniency. We have to follow state law on these publication issues. And so yet another plug, Mr. Ott, for a home rule someday.
All right. Anyone have anything else? Okay. I think we're just bringing that
Mike,
back.
can I interrupt a minute here?
All right, next item is Blue Lake Water Resource Credit Agreement.
Good evening, Mayor and trustees. Later on our agenda, very near next on our agenda is an executive session regarding a water resource credit agreement for the Blue Lake subdivision. This will be just the latest time that we've checked in with you on that water resource credit agreement. I'm happy to say we're very close, at least at the staff level, and working with the developer to resolving outstanding issues and being able to present an agreement to you. We'll walk through that in the executive session. Before doing that, the developer, Mark Bush, is here with his team. I think he would like to make a few remarks to you all, answer any questions that you might have before we go into executive session.
Is that working? Yeah. Good to see everybody. Nice to see you quite regularly, so it's nice to see everybody.
Name and
Mark Bush, 905 West 124th Avenue, Westminster, get my zip codes confused, 80234. We're kind of the sponsor of the Bella Vista project here in town, which I think most of you know. And I thought I'd just really quickly introduce our team and just not take much time at all. I know Brian and the staff have kind of a package or presentation to give you guys as to where we are in terms of our water resource credit agreement right now. So don't think we need to get, or I need to get into a lot of heavy detail, but I think it's good for everybody to understand we've been working. This isn't something that's kind of germinated over the last few months, but actually the last few years. Our partnership acquired close to 500 consumptive acre feet of water rights in the Lost Creek Basin, which is east of here in Loch Buoy. We've done a lot of extensive due diligence on our own side, on our private side, and I thought, Charlie Foster, who many of you know, works with me continually on Bella Vista, and in the room is also Brett Bove, who's with a water consulting and engineering firm, jack of all trades, water, work with other municipalities and other water development, system development programs throughout the state, really around the country. So I had Brett come with us today. He's done a ton of due diligence and work, and we've been coordinating with Chris and Steve, who everybody knows here in the room, and Brian, but we've been working on this for actually multiple years now as it relates to this particular water resource. And not only just on the due diligence and getting more and more knowledgeable on the actual raw water, but also the various scenarios that we think are available to the community, not just Bella Vista, but the entire community for Loch Buoy of delivery of this raw water right. Kind of comes down, you got the river water rights, and you have what we call closed basin water. I know that Steve and Chris and Brian have been keeping you along with it. I think it's just really important at this juncture for us, how I see it, is we have an ability to do kind of an interim water resource credit agreement that kind of just furthers everybody's intellectual commitment and energy and physical commitment to get even a bigger block of water approved to the town, but also ups our ability to do so, and also to quite a substantial financial commitment to see not only this interim project through, but the larger delivery of multiple thousands of potential water certificates for really the economic growth of the town. So I don't know, do you have anything to add, or Brett, or? Yeah, we've just spent a lot of time with Chris and Steve. They're probably sick of me calling them all the time, and Brian particularly, but I don't know if it's worth answering any questions at this juncture or getting into it, but any deeper detail, I guess, is what I was saying, suggesting.
Anyone have any questions? No? Did you have anything, Brian? No, that's it. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks, Mayor. Okay.
Right. And did you have anything else to add, Brian, on that topic?
No, sir, we have a short presentation we'll walk through in the executive session.
Okay. All right, with that, we'll go into Mayor and Trustee comments. Trustee Ott.
I have nothing, thank you.
Okay. Trustee Kovencheck.
I don't have anything.
Trustee White.
Nothing, thank you.
Trustee Jeffrey.
I don't have anything either. Thank you.
Trustee Westcott, sorry.
I just wanted to note that I saw an advertisement for the safety days show on my social media feed today, and I'm excited about that. It looks like a fun time. Congratulations and thank you to the police department, who I believe is pulling that all together.
All right, and Trustee Cohen.
I just have one thing. I'm currently have just been for a very short time, the Southeast Weld Chamber of Commerce representative for us. And starting in May, I'm gonna have to step down from that. I've had a change in my work schedule that won't allow me to meet on the days. So if anyone else is interested in taking that over in May, and also going to the April meeting, which is gonna be kind of a town panel, the main responsibility is once a month to attend a lunch and learn. That's a 1 or 2 hour meeting. Usually it's at Ben's Pizza. There's usually a speaker, And then your responsibility is to stand up and give the town report for town of Lock Bowie, which I found out on my first day. So, so if anyone's interested, that's coming up, and April will be the last time I'll be able to attend. So I don't know how we handle that. I think it's the 4th. It's on a Wednesday. It's the 4th Wednesday of every month. And so it starts at 11:30 generally.
Yeah,
And then you get emails
I know,
about
I'll
what's going
definitely-
on with the chamber.
Yeah, I'll definitely be there.
That's it. Thank you.
Right, thank you. And I have nothing. So with that, we're moving into executive session. So do we have a motion?
I move to transition to executive session pursuant to CRS 24-6-402, parens 4, parens E, for determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and instruction negotiators on a water resource credit agreement for Blue Lake subdivision.
You can
Do I
also-
do and?
Yes. Yes.
And also pursuant to CRS 24-6-402, parens 4, parens E, to instruct negotiators and develop a negotiation strategy related to an agreement with the Hudson Fire Protection District for indemnification.
Second,
All right, motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mayor Mahoney,
Yes.
Trustee White,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ott,
yes.
Trustee Kovenchik,
Yes.
Trustee Westcott,
Yes.
Trustee Jeffrey,
Yes.
and Trustee Cohen.
Yes.
And motion carries. And the time is now 7:27.